Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Sorting things out. I keep receiving uh, emails from boys and kind of complaining about the their ex-girlfriend or why girls suddenly leave to someone else when everything seems to be okay, when there's no specific issues as far as their manners or the way that they treat their girlfriends and so on, that you wonder why suddenly girls jump ship. And many emails of that sort, they're all wondering what makes them to suddenly, from that stage of lovey-dovey and wonderful relationship, and everything seems to be okay and very caring and attentive to each other, and suddenly she changes course and everything changes, and she decides to break up and goes to somebody else. And at the same time, I receive many emails from girls who are wondering, why did he broke up with her, and why did he change and went to somebody else, or why did he decide he doesn't want to continue the relationship, why he decided suddenly he doesn't want to get married when they were supposed to get married. And this question of marriage, why one stopped the promise or the arrangement or the plans that they had together, comes from both sides. And boys seem to be very disappointed with the way most girls behave these days in their relationships and treat them, and girls complain and are concerned about why guys seems to be not content and constantly create some situations where they don't feel that this relationship will continue, and they're worried about, why the guy is constantly, chatting with others or leaving without really any kind of a real reasons, and so on. So this seems to be happening from both sides, and I try to perhaps share with you some angles that you may want to ponder and consider in your concerns about these questions and these emails that we just talked about, and perhaps that would shed some light on why this is happening. And just want to tell you to begin with that this cannot be this cannot be covering all the girls' thinking and resonation and the way they deal with their relationships, and this cannot be covering and including all the guys who seem to be constantly looking around and chatting around and wants to find new relationships or break up the old one and so on, when there's no specific thing wrong with either one of the relationships. In other words, nobody's abusing anybody, nobody's being psychotic or anything. The relationship seems to be good for a while, and suddenly one decides to break up the whole arrangement that they had. So to begin with, I just want you to remember that doesn't mean the whole crowd of girls are thinking and behaving in the same way that you just send your emails to me and to the girls. It doesn't mean that majority of the guys are also of the kind that you've been describing your concerns to me. So having said that, which is a good news, let's get at it and see if there's anything that you can consider why the girls who are behaving this way, because we're only talking about the girls who are behaving this way. We're not talking about girls in general. We're not talking about women in general. We're talking only about the portion of the women who actually fall in this category of being not faithful and breaking up relationship for no reasons and changing their promises and plans and not being loyal and not being committed in a good relationship when the guy is actually good man. And also, we are not talking about all the guys when we talk about them. We're talking about the guys who fall in this category. We're not talking about guys in general. We're talking about the guys who fall in the category of these complaints from or concerns from the girls who have sent me emails. So, having said that, let's begin. Well, let's talk about girls first. Boys' complaints, emails. I don't think you should blame girls for this so much. Maybe a little bit, but not so much. Because as you know, we've always talked on these videos about the conditioning, how we've been put together, how our consciousness is put together, and what has affected and formed and conditioned our consciousness has been through the thinking and concerns that has formed a mentality that in some ways have found its way through thousands of years ago or evolution, behavior, and through the genomes. That kind of a automatic response or concern has been passed on generation to generation and always been enforced by next generation and been somehow through the stories, through behavior, through actions, or through part of the concerns in an instinctive way through the genes. And plus the traditional customs of a tribe, of a nation, religious beliefs, the way the parents have actually relayed what woman should be looking for, what a girl should be looking for, what she should be concerned about, how her life should be. All of that has been, and the schools and the propaganda and how the country is run, how the rules and regulations and traditions are promoted in that environment that the girl is being raised and growing up, and the expectations of the society from all that has had a lot to do with the way her consciousness is put together. So her conditioning, to big part, before she comes to be a person who could see what is right or wrong for her, the conditioning through all these, what we talked about, the traditions and customs and religions and backgrounds and parents and teachers and all that that goes on in the society that are being raised, already formed her conditioning. And she seemed to be pumped with the idea of that she can't take care of herself, which is an unfortunate encouragement to make girls think that they should only look for a man to give them comforts and take care of them or provide what they may need in life, to be dependent on a man. These cultures, or everywhere, even here in North America, there is a influence towards girls who can perfectly well can take care of themselves and provide for themselves through education, through getting skilled in some jobs and become expert in some, and millions of women around the world are experts in one or different fields, and they're pride of their group and nation and gender and country, and they are teachers and doctors and lawyers and educated in social manners and contribute to the society that they are living in great ways. But still, there has been a tremendous pressure or tremendous conditioning to their consciousness that they should actually expect a guy to provide what they may want to have in life. And that conditioning, which still goes on through subliminal behavior and encouragement of the tradition and the customs of a society all over the world, plus all the other things that they've learned through the history that traditionally woman's supposed to be taken care of. So all of that have caused the girls today to expect that. And they see all these movies that, you know, somebody comes along and then, you know, provides a big house or a car or jewelry or this and gets married. And always they have put the girl in a dim light of being perfectly capable of commanding her life to be the way she wants it without having to depend on a man. The way all the movies and so on have promoted the idea in her has kind of influenced them to feel a little bit incapable of creating the kind of life that they want by themselves. And so, having all these historic and traditional behavior been pumped into their heads, especially ever since they were a child, and having been given all these dreams of, yeah, you should be pretty and you should be this and that, creating a certain kind of role to be only limited to their physical beauty and not encourage them to become that powerhouse that they can be, to create what they want in their life on their own through education and expertise and things, has caused the girls to become the way, especially the ones that fall into this category, to happen to be the kind of girls that you guys end up falling for. And you guys who are always going for, you know, prettiness of a girl and the physical fitness and beauty of the girl, then you end up getting into a relationship with a girl who has been more focused on this sort of ancient way of thinking, because they are not all beautiful girls think this way, but specifically when they're very beautiful and have been pumped with all these wrong conditionings to not to be independent, you end up having, you know, following a beautiful girl who actually may happen to be falling in the categories that we talked about, and so she is trained to look for somebody who can provide more of physical things in the world, the luxury, the car, and the things, because they've been conditioned to think their worth and value is equal to what the guy offers them in the way of material things. We're not talking about right or wrong, we all know it's wrong, but that's the motivation of, that's the way they've been conditioned. So stop blaming the girls, because it's not like the girls were all been encouraged to become independent and educated and able to, you know, to take care of themselves economically and not be bombarded with all those conditionings that we talked about, and then yet they still want to behave this way, and they go to the next guy who's no better than you and has nothing over you but happen to have more money or more luxury available to him and the girls. That kind of girl are attracted to that kind of thing, even though your relationship and your mannerism with her is perfectly well, and you're a gentleman, you take good care of her, you pay attention to her, you're a nice person, and yet suddenly she changes. That could be because she's part of that group that is not believing in herself to be independent in life, and she's been trained or conditioned to think that she has to go and find somebody who can give her more material things, because that would mean a better life, or that would mean she's more valuable, because that's how she is taught and conditioned to think that determines her worth and value. But the good news is that there are millions of other women of high quality and they don't think this way, and you can go and find and choose someone from that higher echelon than the kind that you are having problem with, that leaves you for somebody else who's no better than you at all, not even comparable, but has got more things that he can offer. You can be sure that that's not going to work either after a while, but at least you could understand it's not because all girls are like that. It's because there's certain kind of girls, and in this world we have all kinds of people. Some are like that and some are not. So stop blaming the girls. It's not all their fault. And look for the ones that you could qualify to meet your expectations and standards better by not so eagerly following your hormones, and just because she's beautiful thinking that she's got all the other criterias that you're looking for, and lo and behold you're too far in before you realize that the relationship's gone too far and you're really attached to her, and you're used to the whole relationship, yet she's the kind of girl who's actually been conditioned and trained to, without even herself knowing, that she should be looking for some other better financial situations, or the fact that somehow the abusive way of society these days have used women for so long by portraying them as a commodity and making them seem as they should be looking for things rather than quality of a man, because they're pumped into their heads through the movies and through the way that we talked about, through the society that they're raised in, that everybody wants you. So when you condition someone that every man wants you, you have something, which is that your sexuality, your ability to provide pleasure and your companionship, the fact that you're pumped into your head that regardless of how you make your consciousness to be and to be developed, what kind of a person you make out of yourself, you're in demand because everybody wants you. And if you're sold on that bill that everybody wants you, then obviously the girl is never satisfied, because she always questions herself, is that the most I could get? It doesn't matter if the guy is really nice and good and wonderful man to rely on and to be in a relationship with. She's always having this question in her mind, is that all I could get? Because she's been conditioned to think that the more you get, the more value you have, and that every man wants you. You have something that every man will want you. You can get anything you want, and you can just trade that desire of a man for your companionship with what you think a comfortable life is. So again, this is not her fault. This is the way that the society has conditioned her and have betrayed women by making them think that you're just a commodity and everybody wants you because of the physical intimacy and so on. Therefore, she starts thinking that she doesn't need to do anything else in life. She can just be pretty and then change ships if it's not palatable to her. If that lifestyle has got more responsibility that she wants to have, if that lifestyle doesn't give her the physical, material things that she may desire to have, so she says, okay, I'll just change ship and have somebody else, since I've been told that everybody wants me, therefore I'm going to go and see what else I can get from somewhere else. These are the conditionings that happen. But the good news is that not all women are like that. Not all women have fallen for that. And many and millions of women in the world are of great caliber, great quality education, thinkers, and able to be committed and loyal to their family and be able to reciprocate love and kindness and have a wonderful and create a wonderful life and family and a relationship. So you need to find the kind of girl that doesn't fall in the small category, that we, or maybe a little bit larger than a small category, but the category that we just talked about. So that's why I say stop blaming the girls. They're not. There's nothing wrong with them. They're not bad. This is the conditioning of the society that they have happened to be raised in, and this is the fault of the traditions and the religious beliefs and role of women that have been imposed upon. And if they had freer society, that they would be able to do whatever they want and become whatever they want, which in many parts of the world is now possible. So you would not have seen this many of the kind of girls that you're telling me suddenly they stop the relationship and go and complaining that you can't trust women anymore, you can't trust girls anymore, you don't want to have a relationship at all, and you stay away from it, because this seems to be happening a lot, as you all seem to be saying. So just want you to be open-minded and don't conclude that this is all the girls. Yes, in the younger age they're more of them maybe like that than maybe more mature girls, because eventually they come to their senses and they see, well, it doesn't serve them well if they just have a relationship with a good man and then they jump ship because they want to have more materialist stuff, and then they jump ship, then there's no security that they really, the one that they're looking after, the security that they're really looking after, they're looking for, doesn't really come because of this sort of mentality. So they come to their senses and correct that. Now, about guys, well, girls, don't blame the guys so much either, although I hold more of a responsibility on the guy's head than the other way around. However, guys have also been conditioned to think all their childhood, again from behavior of the 1,000 years ago, man's behavior through their genome. They have learned some things, and then the rest of it through their religion and their customs and traditions and behavior of the men in their society, and how the news and the movies are put together, and all together they have turned into having their consciousness conditioned in a way to think that the more girls they have and the more sex they have and the more they go out with girls, and therefore the more man they are. So their manhood has been kind of connected to the number of girls they go out and number of girls they have sex with, which again is totally wrong, but that is the conditioning that they have received. And they simply have learned to think that women is what makes them valuable. So when you guys actually go into a relationship with a good man and you leave it, if you happen to be part of that kind of group of a woman who has been conditioned to constantly jump ship, then you actually create more of a stereotype about women not to be committed with a good man and not to stay, and you create this stories go around, and eventually both men and women in these sort of groups stop being encouraged to want to get into a relationship, and they become more and more of a jump shippers. The guy wants other girls because he doesn't think this relationship will last, because the stereotype is that she's going to leave anyhow, and the girl doesn't stay with the guy because she thinks that the guy is going to be going out with many other girls, and so she starts looking around as well. So all of that starts becoming bigger and bigger, and the situation becomes worse. Now, what's the solution? Solution is that simply find the right girl, and girls find the right guy. Somebody who's really interested to have a relationship with one girl, and the girl is interested to have a relationship with one guy, because of all these conditions that the guys have received, they really don't want to be in a relationship with a girl who's also chatting up other guys, because traditionally guys are designed and programmed for procreation. So they'll always be on the lookout for chatting up somebody and getting intimate with somebody or picking up some girl, because that's in their gene. They're supposed to be hunting for girls for procreation. And so the guys attribute being in a relationship as a very important thing in their life, and they seem to think that the idea of the girl, their girl, being chatted up by other guys, or she allows other guys to chat her up, or she chats the other guys, however it is, it bothers them because it makes them feel that they're not better than the others. And guys are conditioned to think that they are the best guy, the best man. They are the best of the best. And when they see their girl is being chatted by some other guy, she allows them to, or she chats the other guys up, or she thinks it's not a big deal, but if the guy chats another girl up, she makes a fuss about it. So it's a double standard, and at the same time, the guy really is not comfortable to make it a normal behavior of the girl that he's in a relationship with is also so, much chatting up or friendly over than regular friendship with the guys that he doesn't even know. These are just the way he's conditioned. And it's not if he gives up on you because of these sort of interactions and he gives up and goes to another girl who's more content to be with him rather than being more extrovert, maybe you can consider that this is his conditioning, that he is conditioned in this primate way, in this primitive way of, in his mind, to think that his woman is only for him. That's the way they're built. So if you can understand them and curve your behavior toward focusing on your relationship and keeping the relationship away from all these stereotypes, and understand the conditionings that your guy has received and how he really hopes to have this relationship to go, and at the same time, if the guys understand the condition that the girls have received, and it's not because they're bad, they're just the way that they have been conditioned in their consciousness through the societies that they've been raised and grown up in, then maybe you will be able to talk it over, understand each other's shortcomings, talk about these conditionings, and come up with a cooperative policies while you're together to adhere to that and not be so easily swayed by being chatted up by another girl if you're a guy, and not being chatted up by another guy if you're a girl, and then create a stronger communication, a more clear understanding of how your psyche has been conditioned, what kind of pressures and conditionings you've been under, and influences you've been under through your backgrounds in religious and tribalism and all the traditions and so on. And then you'll be able to cope better and not so easily break up the relationship just because somebody was prettier, or somebody was more handsome, or the guy had more money, or the girl was more fit, or just because you're conditioned to think that you got to be with as many girls as you can and be intimate with them to feel, stronger man or more manly, that manlier than you just to be manly. That's how you can. And the girl would not be thinking that she should be focusing on material things in order to have a better relationship, because materials never have anything to do with the level of bonding and interaction and consciousness, and how you can be compatible and in harmony and create better relationships. So that's something to think about. I don't know if you guys can understand, and I hope that this will answer some of your emails, both guys and girls who've been furiously complain about the behavior of the other side, the girls angry with the behavior of their boyfriend, and the guys disappointed with the behavior of the girls for the reasons that we talked to, and hope it will do something for you to ponder, and you will be able to compromise and understand each other's better by thinking about these conditionings that each of you have received. And none of you are bad in character. It's just due to the conditionings that your consciousness have been put under, and perhaps you can break the cycle and make it to be a more aware relationship than any other generation before, and better for the next and other people to learn from the kind of interactions you are able to create with each other. Have a nice day or evening, and hope it would be something for you to ponder. Be good to yourself and to the others, and talk to you soon.